I do. I'm just making sure there we go.
All right. Well, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Give some people some time to get into the live chat here. But yeah, welcome back. You know what it is. It's the Nooner Nation podcast for Nooners by Nooners. I am joined tonight by a special Nooner that I met during that infamous weekend in Austin for the Hard AF launch party.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like met you. I'm on with Megan. Is it Brosman or Brossman?
Rossman.
Brossman. We met at the Nooner house party the night before. That got pretty wild out at Beth and Greg's Airbnb.
I feel really bad. I just want to poor Beth. I think I have her on Facebook, but I never said anything. And she was like, "Oh yeah, my wine glass is the one with the lipstick on it." And I'm like, "Oh, the hooker red lipstick." And I was joking, but everyone was like, "God damn." And I was totally joking. I hope she doesn't think I'm a cunt or something.
Oh, I think she would probably brush that one off pretty easily. Beth seems like somebody who wouldn't let that bother her too much. She probably actually thought it was funny, but we're all so drunk she probably didn't like even understand what we were saying.
And I call my red lipstick my hooker red lipstick or prostitute red.
Prostitute, yeah. Nice. So, like I said, we're live again. Sorry, last week had some sort of weird technical issue.
Yeah.
So I spent we killed the feed. I spent probably another 2 hours Thursday night trying to figure out what was going on. And then Friday, spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was going on. Ended up just unplugging everything, plugging it all back in the exact same way, and it started working again. So
you sound like a real IT guy, because that's what they always say to me. They're like, "Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was my first thought. I was like, IT expert over here. Plugging shit in and plug it back in, and it typically fixes the problem. So, but cool. So, before we came on live here, before we went live, you're saying a little bit of a rough Thursday for you?
It was definitely a Thursday. So I've been fostering a puppy that I think a drinking bro is actually going to adopt, which is really cool. But yeah, I was fostering a puppy. I had to drop her off because I'm going to New Orleans this weekend. I'm doing a bunch of spooky girl stuff, urban legend stuff. And I had to get a rental car, and like that was a nightmare. Insurance companies are straight up evil, and it was a nightmare. Oh, and I had a job interview I had to get to at some point today, so it was just a nightmare. Yeah. Thank God for alcohol sometimes, because
Yep. Yeah, definitely sounds like you need a drink after all that. Greg, I see you. Thanks. I'll turn the mic up a little bit here. But yeah.
Hi everyone, saying hi to me in the live
chat. Yeah. Do you get into the live chats much for like drinking bros or anything?
Not really for drinking bros. I try to get on Failure to Stop, and I used to be in the Iconoblast feed all the time, but I go to bed like I'm a grandma. I'm in bed by like 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. So.
Oh no, I feel that. I feel bad because like Joel and Coop, I love those guys and I love the show. I've been on it before, and but yeah, like for me, 2 kids, a job and shit, like 9 o'clock is. And sometimes, man, they've had a couple episodes go long, so I catch it when I can. You know, always watch it in the morning for sure. But that is a fun live chat for Iconoblast, though.
It is. I get in the Jack Sesh live chats sometimes too. I'm just here for the dog, and then Joel will like pan the screen over to Taco, his Jack's dog, and I'm like, "Thanks, fam."
Yeah. Did you get in on any of that? The 10-hour marathon last week?
No, but I saw that there was like a part 2 going on and like some other nonsensory, and I was just like, and then I like popped back in, and he's like, Jack and Coop are just like really into like this like history conversation, and it was just a budding romance, just getting deeper and deeper by the minute.
Yeah, for sure. I think it like Friday night's episode went till like, I don't know what time it went to, but I know people were telling me like this podcast got brought up a couple of times and stuff, but when we watched it, it was like 9.5 hours long. So it's like, yeah, can somebody like maybe narrow down where I need to go to? Because like I'm not gonna watch this for 9.5 hours. And then,
Give me that stamp.
And then Saturday night he went back on. I don't even know how long he went for Saturday night. I can't find that episode, but it's always a good time. I typically try to call in if I get a couple minutes. Jack's a good guy. I think I reached out to him about coming on, so I think we'll see if he comes on the show sometime soon. But
Jack's super nice. He's a really nice guy. I met him. He's awesome.
Yeah. He's. I was kind of bummed I didn't get to meet him when I was in Austin. He was busy that weekend, but I'm sure I'll meet him eventually. Especially if he comes on the show, obviously. But yeah, but that was a fun weekend. Lost my train of thought. Anyways, so from there we'll go. You already know, if you're listening, like and subscribe on YouTube. Go to iTunes, rate 5 stars, leave a review. Like I've said, I don't care what the review says. It could be funny. You can talk shit about how my voice sounds like Tiger Woods with a sinus infection. I really don't care. So just as long as you leave a review, that's what they care about. And if you listen on Spotify, you can review on there now. I'm starting to get some reviews there. I have 5 stars on Spotify. Somebody left me a 1-star review on iTunes. I want to meet this person. They left a 1-star review, but not a 1-star. Yeah, but didn't leave a review. I was like, come on, coward. Leave a review if you're going to give me a 1 star.
Someone doesn't like you. Someone thinks you're dumb.
A lot of people think I'm dumb. Doesn't mean they don't have to like me. Like they don't like me, but yeah. So again, we had this episode completely all planned out for last week, so it made this week's prep a little easier. Except for obviously car accidents and job interviews. On your point, how'd the job interview go? Hopefully you weren't too flustered from all the chaos and stress.
Let me tell you something. The only thing that bothered me about my interview is my outfit, because I didn't get a chance to change. And that's the only thing. It's for Ulta. It's like something, because I'm going to be a full-time college student soon, and I need something that I don't have to be there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I'm going to college. I'll be double majoring. It's going to be a nightmare. And I needed something to like fill the gap, like income-wise.
Right.
So I'll be at Ulta, hopefully. But I like walked in like this dress, and like my boobs are kind of out, and I didn't want to be on YouTube like that. And I'm just like sitting there talking to this other woman. I'm like, look, I'm normally way more polished than this. And she was like, you're fine. Like,
yeah.
She was like, how, like what's going on? And I'm like, I had a day. And I told her at the act, like what I told you, with insurance companies are evil. And she was like, okay. Yeah. You're okay.
All right. Well, hopefully outside of that, hopefully you nailed the interview. So yeah, you're looking for employment that's a little flexible on hours, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's other things that I dabble in. That's make your own hours, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm trying to be a doctor someday, so I can't throw my whole self into that and get too crazy.
So what are you talking about? Like you out walking the streets at night or something? What's going on?
OnlyFans. I have an OnlyFans. So.
Oh, dope. Well, shout that out. I'm sure some people want to go see that.
It's very soft. It's not very hardcore at all. My ears are hot. It's weird that I'm like shy about it on a public forum, but yeah. I have to put the link back in my Instagram bio, but yeah, I have an OnlyFans. You can see my boobs on there and how many tattoos I have.
Right.
So.
Right. And you pointed out your ears. Do you go heavy on the ear content?
Sometimes I put a dick in my ear, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. I was just playing with my earrings and.
Gotcha. You ever go like feet stuff? I was talking to a neuter lady today about how much money people make selling pictures of their feet, which is, I mean, to each their own, but.
It's weird. And I'm just going to be like a little sentimental real quick. Like there's a lot of women who are like oh, I couldn't do it because I'm not confident or I don't have a perfect body. Like, I don't either. And I don't think many people, like, in real life do. Like, as a matter of fact, I know that they don't. But there's something for everybody, okay? Like, whatever you got, someone likes it and will pay money to see it. Period. Period.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, again, I would tell my wife, like, oh, just sell pictures of your feet. Have you seen how much money, like, your socks?
Yeah, like guys like to see, there's people who like to see feet like crunch up jello and like cake.
Yeah, it's nothing new. There's a King of the Hill episode about it. Peggy gets wrapped up in the foot fetish film industry.
I haven't seen it, but that sounds great.
Have you seen King of the Hill at least though?
I know the propane tanks and propane accessories. And I know the rap song.
Yeah, Hank, his wife, has like massive feet in the show. It's like an ongoing joke. And she's at a podiatrist's office. And he's like, you know what? I would really like you to model your feet for me. And she thinks it's like this empowering thing, like to help women with big feet. And it turns out he's just like selling the pictures on like some like foot porn site.
That's awesome.
And she's she's like, you know, like walking over, like at first it starts out like pictures of like her feet like on like roses. And then she's like, are you sure like this is empowering? And she's like walking through like a pan of baked beans.
You know what? That's another thing too. Like if you're thinking about starting an OnlyFans, draw your lines and draw them hard. Oh, yeah. Pun intended. But like seriously, like draw a hard line with like where your morals are and where you stand, and make sure you're comfortable with everything you put out there, because my shit got leaked already, and I don't go super hardcore on there. And every time I post something, I'm like, would I be real upset if my boss saw this? And I'm like, it's a frontal. You're an adult. Grow up, you know? Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. Like, if you got it and you're comfortable doing it, like make some money. Like, again, obviously hard lines. You hear I'm sure people get weird on there fast, but
people like sell their souls. Like there was this one chick on there. She was like follow for follow, and she was like 20, but she was like really like hardcore. And I'm like,
yeah, getting nasty on there.
You're going to be like 25 one day and look back and be like, shit.
Mm-hmm.
So well, I don't know.
That's something I think has come out, you know, kind of lately, like in like the traditional porn industry. Like a lot of these women, like Mia Khalifa now has talked about, like she only did it for like 3 months or something. Like all that content she has in 3 months, and now like she kind of like, it seems like she kind of regrets it. I mean, she said she made decent money, but now like that is her whole life. Like 3 months of what she did is now like what she identifies as. She's fighting really hard to like get over that.
Yeah, like I'm going for pre-med, and I'm like, okay, like and I think to myself, like, okay, if this ever gets out, what's society gonna say? And like with what I have on there, it's gonna just be like titties.
Yeah, and everybody's got those. Like, as long as you're not doing like wild ass shit on there, like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
So where are you going to school?
Texas State.
Okay. Is that like near Austin, or is it like an online program?
Nope. It's in San Marcos, and I actually moved to Texas to get into that school because they have a body farm, like an anthropology farm.
Oh yeah.
Tennessee has one too, but they have a really robust anthropology program, and I want to be a forensic pathologist one day.
So. Awesome. Yeah, the one in Tennessee, I have a cousin who is I always mess it up, an entomologist.
Entomologist?
Like bugs.
Bugs? Entomology? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he got to go to the body farm out in Tennessee one time and like see what levels of, you know, human decay do certain bugs start to show up and stuff like that. And I was like, what was that like? He's like, it's kind of creepy but interesting.
It's really weird. Like certain flies will do certain things. Even if a body is moved, you'll have like a different kind of fly or a different kind of insect. I'm actually reading about it in a book that I got I'm sorry, this is so serious. It's called The
Oh.
Coroner's. And it takes place in Louisiana, and it's like this coroner who's kind of going through like it's written very like blunt. It's like reading a podcast almost, and he's
Right.
just going from like A to Z. And he ended up working on like the Hurricane Katrina cases and identifying bodies and stuff. And apparently like a big rash of murder like broke out and was knucking futs, and like nobody got like proper funding for things, and they were building morgues and restaurants and like the freezers and refrigerators and shit, using those stainless steel tables and all that crap. Like it's wild. It's kind of sad too. But yeah, and he talks about the bugs, and it's really crazy. Like he only goes into it for like 2 pages, and it's like it's nuts. It's so interesting.
Yeah, that's wild.
Sorry.
C Hapes, I saw your comment. Yeah, like so we're gonna start talking here in a second about urban legends. Well, I forgot what it was. It was one of the live shows for Drinking Bros, or live chats, and somebody was mentioning. I forgot what brought it up, but somebody brought up Walt Disney being frozen, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope." And I was like, "We should talk about like wild urban legends." So yeah, C Hapes, the Zoom link for everybody watching is down in the description. So if you have one you want to talk about, or just want to get in on the conversation, zoom in. You know, I can't promise everybody's gonna get on tonight, but if you zoom in, we'll see. I mean, and then also Jessica, Cream Pie Jessica said, "Oh, she's smart."
Thanks, Jess. Thank you.
Yeah, you probably met her that same weekend, right?
I think I did, and you guys kept calling her cream pie, and she's just like this like sweet individual who's just kind of low key chilling.
Don't let her fool you. She's nasty.
She had me fooled.
I'm just kidding. Jessica's awesome. Jessica's awesome. Me and her were laughing hysterically the next morning after the Hard AF party about how drunk we still were, like 10 o'clock the next morning. So
I did so many cringe things, and like that picture of me like flipping off the camera.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Like as soon as Joel took it, he was like, "That's going up." And I'm like, "Fuck it, fine." And now I see it like for a month I saw it everywhere before they started creating content, and I'm like, that wasn't me, that was Linda.
Is Linda? Is that what happens when you drink too many hard AFs? You become Linda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, like I said, we're going to talk urban legends. There's always some fun ones out there. Like I said, like I'll start. I think this one's really interesting. Walt Disney, the urban legend is, it depends on where you look, either his whole body or just his head is cryogenically frozen and stored in a special facility underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So I don't know if anybody's heard of that one. Have you heard of that before this?
I've never heard of it until you said something and like put it in that post. But wasn't he like really big into eugenics? And like wasn't he like Hitler Youth or something? And like that's the stuff that I've heard about it. He was like Hitler Youth, or like his dad was Hitler Youth or something.
I think he was like in the build up to like World War II. And I might be wrong. I think he was a bit of a Nazi sympathizer. Probably, like a lot of people that it never gets admitted, a pretty anti-Semitic person, I'm sure. I've heard a lot of things about Walt Disney not exactly being the greatest person when it came to his political and racial leanings, or religious leanings, whatever. But also, I've heard he's kind of a dickhead to work for. Who knows? Anyways, he was big. I don't know about eugenics. He was really big into like what the future would look like and building like a super modern advanced future. That's like what Space Mountain, I think, or Epcot, one of those parks were all about. Like I think Epcot was supposed to be, it stands for something. I can't remember, but like Epcot originally, before being a theme park, he was wanting to build like some insane, self-contained, like ultra modern city that like had its own economy and all this weird shit. Yeah, everybody in the chat saying that he was super racist, um, anti-Semitic. Oh, and was okay, and into eugenics. Okay, there you go. I guess, yeah, if you're sympathizing with that certain German political party, you're probably pretty interested in eugenics. But with that, yeah, he, I guess, starting in like the early '70s, like these rumors started floating around, and I think like a magazine article was written about how somebody from a local newspaper, when they found out that Walt Disney had died, snuck into like the Burbank hospital where his body was and saw him, like his body being put into like a large cylindrical tube full of liquid.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like what started this. And again, like it depends on where you, I didn't like go super sleuth looking for research. It's like whatever the top things Google gave me kind of thing.
You didn't go past page 1?
No. You go past, like on something like this, you go past page 1 on Google, you're going to start getting into some really weird shit, you know?
That's the best place to go.
Yeah, no, I should have like, yeah, Reddit. I'm sure I can probably find some really crazy shit on Reddit if I was brave enough to. I'm too innocent for Reddit.
Are you?
I am.
I don't fucking believe that at all.
No, I can't do Reddit. Those people are like, people spin out real quick on Reddit. Now, I used to be a big fan of Tumblr when that was around. I don't know if are you familiar with Tumblr?
I think I might be a little. I think I missed Tumblr. I think I missed it a little bit.
It was like they were trying to be like a mix between Pinterest and Twitter, and it just turned into porn. So
I was gonna say, wasn't that like a huge porn?
Like it turned like they're like, oh, it's gonna be like Pinterest and Twitter, and then it essentially just turned into like a library of porn gifs. So like, want the gifs, like you could go, you know, or gifs or however you pronounce it.
I say gifs.
I say gifs. You know, whatever. So yeah, again, I couldn't ever find definitive. Like some people say it's just his head that was frozen, and just his body. But he was kind of known for being interested in like cryogenics, and like so yeah. Some people say his head. He's like, I want my head frozen just in case like they can ever like reanimate a body for my head. And some people say his whole body.
That I remember hearing. Yeah, for sure.
And then, but as I was reading this, in several interviews since his death, so like the past couple of decades, they've done interviews with like the person that runs the Society of, the Cryogenic Society of California, and he confirms that like the months before Walt Disney's death, people from Disney had like called asking about like the facility, how many people they had frozen, like who's on their medical staff, like how somebody goes about donating their body to like cryogenic science. But obviously this is an urban legend. So outside of like this guy's interview and the magazine article, which I went to go looking for the magazine article, and like this supposed publication that this guy worked for doesn't even exist, has never existed. So
I was going to say, does it exist now or hasn't? Because that was like how many years ago?
That was 66, so a long time ago. But I just saw a chat in the live chat. I forget who it was, but he was like, wasn't he who was it? Ruben. He said, wasn't he a kid toucher? And I don't know if he was a kid toucher, but I was listening to dark history of like boy bands. Okay.
And Walt Disney was I don't remember the name of the boy band, but it was like the first one. It was like a barbershop quartet, and they get like this big gig at Disney, and there's only one person there, and that person happened to be Walt Disney. And Walt Disney actually back in the day had like a Disney After Dark show, which sounds kind of porny a little bit.
Yeah.
Disney After Dark, that weird. Okay. But these kids were on it, and that's as far as I got with it. But they were like, it was basically like these kids were in a boy band and they ended up making like all this money and like working their asses off like crazy hours, and they had them, I can't imagine like what kind of like diets and stuff they had them on at the time or whatever to keep them up and going, or what they even did to these kids. But yeah, that was a little bit weird.
Yeah, so they're kind of like a like an old timey barbershop quartet version of BTS. Are you familiar with BTS?
Facts.
That super popular K-pop band. No?
Never.
I won't even get into it then. You don't want to know. So, yeah, I don't know about anything about Walt Disney being creepy around kids. I've heard, like we talked about, I've heard all the like Nazi sympathizer stuff, and I guess obviously eugenics. Also, I don't think he was super thrilled about women's rights when it came to like working.
I don't think anyone was back then.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. We let you drive. What else do you want?
I know.
We let you think your vote matters. Now you want to work? Like, sheesh.
I know. It's bad. Oh, you want to leave the kitchen?
Yeah, like.
Think again.
Here you are wanting to be a doctor. You know what?
I know.
What an age.
I know. It's crazy.
What an age.
I would probably be burned at the stake by now.
Probably. Probably. Well, at least the Saudis do something right. That was a joke.
They do have that.
I see your big ass dog coming in and out of frame.
Dude, I'm sorry, guys.
No.
Betty.
People love dogs.
What? Here she is. This is. There she is. Hello.
So Betty.
That is Betty. She's a Cane Corso. She's all she does is cuddle and sleep and snore. That's it.
Yeah, probably eats a lot by the looks of her.
No? She really doesn't eat that much. I feed, well, comparatively, right? Like
I'm not saying like, sorry, I wasn't implying she was fat. I'm just saying she's a very big dog.
No, but like people, like I was a veterinary technician for a while, and people think like Betty will eat like a whole trough of food, when really I feed her. I use a measuring cup to feed her because I do care about her weight, because she is a bigger girl, hips, all that stuff is important. I feed her 3 cups a day. Okay. Or 3 cups twice a day. 3 cups of water.
So 6 cups of food a day?
Yeah.
I mean, like how much does she weigh? She's probably a pretty big dog.
She weighs 110 pounds.
Yeah. So yeah, she's pretty big. She weighs about as much as my wife does.
Yeah, I have about 20 pounds on Betty, 30 pounds on Betty.
You ever, like, is she big enough to, like, when you're taking her for a walk, does she ever see something she wants to go look at and you're pretty much just going with her?
When she was a puppy, yeah, but I nipped that in the bud through extensive, like, actual training. Like, I spent a lot of money training her, getting other people to help me train her. Because I don't play that. Like I know what I have on the end of my leash, and I made sure that I had control, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think we talked about this last week when we were trying to do this show. I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, and I'm pretty sure Ramsay, that crazy son of a bitch, has a couple of those dogs, right? Of that breed.
It was on set. I was watching interviews because I'm like, that looks like a Presa, and Cane Corso and Presa are kind of like similar. Right. But their faces are a little bit different, like the way that their eyes are set. But I was watching interviews, and there were 2 Cane Corso and 2 Presas on the set. But the one in the scene where it's like snout to face, I'm pretty sure it's a Presa.
Gotcha. Well, she looks big, but she looks like a sweetheart.
Yes, unless it's dark out and you come into my house and I didn't let you in.
Oh, I'm sure, right? I mean, that's the hope, right? Like right now, I mean, I have a 15-year-old basset hound, so you know, he's to the point now where like he doesn't even want to cuddle. He just wants to sleep and eat. Um, but yeah, one of these days when we do get another dog, I want something that's especially like with kids now, like they can play around, and the dog's gonna be like nice and sweet. But if somebody comes around wanting to do something they're not supposed to be doing, that dog's gonna be big enough to fuck somebody up. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Of course, those are the way to go for that, but be careful on who you get them from. I could go on a tangent. We're not going to go there.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that next time we have you on when you're in school. You can tell us all about seeing dead bodies and shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Disney thing. Again, it's one of those things that has become like an urban legend has become so widespread that wherever you look, the story's just different every time. So I just tried to find like the common factors in all of this. And it all started from a news article from a news article, but when you try to go find a news article, like there's all these sites saying like the newspaper never existed. It's just a rumor mill thing.
Sure.
But I mean,
that's what they think.
if you think about like 1966, there was the internet wasn't around. So like, how did rumors like this become so widespread if it wasn't like published in something?
Well, I listen to a lot of true crime. I'm sure everyone is shocked. And people want to be a part of something big, especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a sociologist, but it seems like everyone wants to be a part of something. Everybody wants to be a part of the big story. So even during the Basilica axe murders, which are like in the early 1900s.
That was in Iowa, right?
Yeah.
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 I live in Iowa. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Does Iowa even exist? So those axe murders back in that day, like people came from all over.
Oh yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like,
a big thing.
Yeah.
I think even if you spend enough money, you can spend the night in the house or something.
I would. Oh man, I would do that.
I know. My wife wants to do it. I'm just like, no. She's also like, she wants to like buy a Ouija board. I'm like, no.
Don't do that.
She's like, do you think Ouija boards are real? And I was like, no, but I'm not gonna fuck with it.
Exactly.
When have you ever heard about somebody fucking around with a Ouija board ever being a good thing?
Not never.
Yeah, no. So when you talk about like, yeah, true crime stuff, I think, the Velasquez axe murders, that's not really an urban legend. That actually happened.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, like, yeah, a family here in Iowa, like, people were like, oh, why haven't we seen anybody from this family in a couple of days? And they go into the house and like every single person in the family is just like hacked to death in their beds.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And like there was but the point was like they were hacked to death. I think mirrors were even beginning to get covered and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of like superstition with that case too, but everybody from around the area wanted to see it and there was all kinds of people showing up for it. Like, and kind of like they read an article or a pamphlet back in those days and everyone just kind of like flocked to it.
Yeah, so I wonder, like, I mean, that was long before Disney ever died. I think that was like in the 30s or something, 20s or 30s.
It was way before then, but the point remains that people want to be a part of something. So as soon as they read something, they're gonna run rampant with it, and witnesses will we won't even there will be witnesses that come forward that don't really know shit, but they just want to be a part of it. So they'll say that they know something about a murder, and it won't be a real thing.
Yeah. C Hapes is going nuts in the live chat. The Zoom lines are open, bro. Like it's Zoom. Just the links in the description. Just hit it. Like, not difficult. I'll have if you want to come on, I'll see if my wife will come up and baby bird fireball into my mouth. C Hapes loves that.
Come on.
So the Velasquez axe murder. One thing, Paul, when you said true crime, but there's even that, I don't know if this is an urban legend, but like the Black Dahlia murder. has a lot of like mystery behind it. And
The Black Dahlia murder is interesting because like there's several suspects that are super strong.
mm-hmm.
There's like a photographer guy. I can't really think of his name, but there was a photographer that did all those pictures that you hear about or
Right.
see. Oh, here he comes.
Yep.
And then there's a bunch of other like men there. Hi.
Oh God. How are you
Can't hear
gonna
you.
see Hapes? How are you gonna drive, hold your phone, and jerk off at the same time?
I am gonna call your insurance company.
Oh, his audio's connecting. He didn't hear me talking shit about him. But oh, you there?
There we go.
There we go. I was just asking. You're obviously for the audio listeners. Our boy Matt Seahapes just called in, and he while driving, his phone is obviously on his crotch, looking up.
Yep.
So there must be some kind of wizard where you can drive, zoom, and jerk off at the same time.
It's looking tight in your anus. I mean, wasn't he doing that with him and Womb Raider around?
Uh,
I think he was driving.
He parked.
I got to go back to work, so I only got a couple minutes.
Yeah. So urban legends. I know you've I think you've got a Bigfoot story.
The Squach, dude. So, buddies of mine were up north. I actually wasn't involved in this, so it's a secondhand story, but it's from a credible source.
Truth
There's
comes
a
out.
place.
They always are.
There's a place called Pancake Lake in northern Minnesota by Grand Rapids. Really good buddy of mine, coworker of mine, grew up there. And the lake is only accessible via four-wheeler or like float plane. But I mean, four-wheeler is basically how they get there. It's their hunting camp. They've been hunting up there since I think 86, like his entire family. So they got I think the lake's like 30, 40 acres, so not big at all. Well, it's deer season and it's warm deer season, so the lakes aren't frozen over yet. So after dark, obviously you can't hunt, you can still fish. So these dudes being like outdoorsy guys just want to go out there and fish. So they probably have been drunk since they woke up at 4 a.m. to walk to their deer stands. So super lit up. But I don't know if you guys have ever heard like Bigfoot will do like wood knockings and like whooping noises. So they heard like the whoops, and I ain't gonna fucking imitate it, but
No,
Dude,
you don't have you don't have a Squatch call.
I'm not fucking.
watch call.
Do your Squatch
guys-
call.
Do what you
You
want.
guys heard of like all gas, no brakes? That guy goes to northern Minnesota for like a Bigfoot convention. It's fucking hilarious. Look that shit up when this is over. There's dudes that go up there and they go squatching, and which is actually very near like where the story is.
Okay.
They're in the middle of the lake, fucking bobber fishing, like catfishing, fucking all wasted. They hear all the whoops, and then they hear the wood knockings. So Craig takes the two paddles and starts knocking them together, and every time he would call, it would reply. And they had like
Walker.
four good fucking LED floodlights. So they had like the big ass like incandescent floodlight, shined it, and the only thing they got back were eyes because they were probably a couple hundred yards offshore. But he's like fully fucking. I mean, you can gauge the height from where they were at. Fully fucking believes it. And then deer about to run in front of me. I'm the safest driver there is. And then that same week, there was a woman that was, end of a dirt road situation, doing dishes in her kitchen, looked out, and the same Squatch, they figure, was looking in her fucking window, and they had footprints too. It made, I don't remember if it was like Time magazine, I know it wasn't National Geographic. It was a magazine like you wouldn't think. It was either like USA Today, well, I guess that's a newspaper. It must have been Time magazine. So, proof.
I don't know if that's proof, but
The
here's the thing.
footcasting.
You
Totally
can't-
Time magazine makes questionable people of the year. So
Yeah.
I mean, Hitler, whatever.
I mean,
He was a good guy before the war.
I reckon he was when he was a baby. I don't know.
He's
terrible
probably a shitty
artist.
college
Terrible
baby.
artist. Nobody talks about that enough. How bad of an artist Hitler was.
Yeah.
It might be what turned him, the way he was. People just hated his art, and he's like a whiny little bitch about it. But so we'll let you go, see Hayes. But before you get off, it is completely unfair for you to tell this story and not give us a Squatch call. Like, I don't know. Like, people need to know what it hears about. Like, what is a Squatch call?
What's it? What is it?
David didn't do a shoey, so I'm not doing a fucking Squatch call.
Come on, bro.
Oh, man.
Let's see if I can find us. Do a Squatch call.
I'm not doing a fucking Squatch call. No fucking way.
All right. Well, you have fun at work tonight.
Yeah.
And,
had to leave early today, so I have to go back.
And if somebody listening right now in the live chat can do a Squatch call in and do your best Squatch call. So, all right, dude. Well, thanks for calling in, dude. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, we'll see you, man.
Work.
I always do.
Oh, wait. Don't report the Zoom? No. Oh. So, speaking of Sasquatches, we got another big guy calling in here. We'll let on. And then I want to hear, though, Megan, you brought up your local urban legend, right? Which is like the goat donkey lady. What's going on, Davey?
Yo, guys, what's up?
Hi, bud.
What's up, sis?
How you doing?
I'm doing just dandy.
Megan's about to regale us with the story of the donkey lady. I'm assuming it's not the donkey lady we're thinking of immediately.
I will tell you what I thought when I saw this. Okay. I thought there were people doing questionables with donkeys. Okay.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Exactly. Donkey shows. Please stop. Sorry. And I'm the worst for podcasts. I have ADHD. I can't sit still.
Is she doing her is your dog doing a Squatch call? Is that what she's trying to do?
She's doing a mom, there's someone outside. I need you to handle this because I'm not going to call.
Gotcha.
Wimp. So this donkey lady, it's actually kind of sad and scary, but there's a bridge in San Antonio area.
Uh-huh.
In like a rural part of San Antonio. It's blocked off now and they actually do ghost tours on it. But back in the 1800s, there's two different versions of this story. Okay. So it's not what you think. No one's fucking donkeys on a bridge. Okay. But,
well, then move on.
I know. It's like not exciting at all. It's actually really scary and kind of tragic if it's true. But basically there's this farm and this family living on the farm. It's the husband, the wife, and a couple of kids. And this rich kid, his dad works in San Antonio. He's some big politician. He comes up and he starts like taunting this donkey, and donkeys are assholes, and the donkey bites him. And so the rich brat piece of shit just starts like kicking the shit out of the donkey, and this family comes out and they're like, what the fuck? And so they start like throwing rocks at the kid, so he gets out of here. Well, the kid's like, I'm telling my dad. And so he goes back and he gets his politician dad, and his politician dad is like, oh. So he comes and he burns the fucking barn on fire. Okay. He burns down the barn, him and a bunch of his buddies, all with pitchforks, like the whole scene, like that little Nicky scene, you know what I'm saying? And the guy comes out and he's trying to fight them off, but the wife comes out through the flames and everything somehow, and her face is like melted into the shape of a donkey. It's like elongated, and her hands are melted so bad that they look like stubs and hooves. And she is like on fucking fire. I mean, like she's severely burned. So she runs and she jumps into the river to put herself out, I guess, or to like relieve the pain, obviously water. And she's never seen again. So now people go to the bridge and they'll see, I guess there's like a farm there. I wish I had pictures, but there's like a barn on this piece of land where the farm used to be, allegedly. And they can like see her face in the window. Some people have reported that there's been like sightings of this lady. Some people have reported that they've gotten like hoof marks in their cars and shit like that. And if you honk your horn, she goes away.
Man, yeah, that's a little darker than I thought it was going to go,
Yeah, super dark. And I was Googling, I was like urban legends, and it was like donkey lady. I'm like, she fucking donkeys, bro? And then, no, that's not what.
That's where my mind went. And then you told the story, and I lost most of both of my erections.
Both?
We'll get into that later.
Okay.
So, what's going on, Davey? What do you think about the donkey lady story?
I've heard worse. Believe me.
Do you have a Squach call?
Whoop! It's literally just that. It's just a whoop. That's all it is.
I want to see apes do that.
You tell me, dude. All I know is the Squatch call, at least from because back when I was playing rugby, we did a camping trip, and I got up in the middle of the night one night because I had to take a piss, and I remember out in the distance I just heard this awkward, like this whooping sound, and it sounded like I would describe it if Chewbacca was real and could talk. It kind of reminded me of that, but that's the only somewhat close of a Squatch experience I've ever had. But I can tell you that in other YouTube videos, because after I heard the sound, I remember I got back home from our trip and I jumped on YouTube and I started looking up just other Squatch encounters or other quote unquote pieces of evidence. And I heard the same sound over and over and over again. And so that's when I kind of became like, I don't want to say a full believer, but I'm definitely a skeptic, especially since moving out here to Colorado.
Yeah. You're a Squatcher now?
I'm not a Squatcher. I think that perhaps maybe, cryptozoology isn't that far from us as some would like to say. I truly think though that we may have overlooked part of the gene pool, or we might have overlooked part of the human branches, because there's definitely something out there, and people are like, well, how come we haven't found any bones or anything? Well, I could make the same argument for how come we don't find bear skeletons out in the middle of the woods. I mean, sure, people have found them, but how often do we find them? Same with deer. How often do we find deer skeletons?
All the time if you live in Pennsylvania.
Well, they're everywhere out there in that part of the Northeast.
Well,
yeah.
But we haven't even found DB Cooper, and we've been looking for him for years.
DB Cooper was a Mormon in the Air Force, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I there was a FBI Files documentary I saw years ago, but it was about DB Cooper, and the premise was this guy was like a Mormon. He was in the Air Force, and I guess apparently they found some kind of like a note or some kind of like a note that he left at the bank that he robbed, and they brought this guy in who kind of like they thought was the suspect. They had him do a handwriting sample and it matched. They had him read, I guess, whatever was muttered at the bank, and it matched. And apparently he was a Mormon Air Force guy.
I mean, that's a very aggressive move for a Mormon, though.
It's also the best cover.
Fair. How about you? You have a local urban legend out there in Colorado or something?
Oh gosh. Well, that depends. Are we talking mountain legends, or are we talking?
I know one. Cause you're kind of near Denver, right?
45 minutes north.
Yeah, like the Denver airport, right, is like the home of the Illuminati, and it's like a doorway to hell or something like
that. It's not the Illuminati. The thing is, back before when the airport was being constructed, and I've researched this myself, the first thing they did after they dug out the foundation was they installed like these ginormous bunkers, like these ginormous steel, like big tin boxes, like at the very base of the foundation of the airport. And apparently, from what I've gathered, it was supposed to be a bomb shelter, or it's supposed to be some kind of like if a tornado ever makes its way to that part of the state, it's supposed to act as like, I guess you could say, subterranean protection. But the thing about these bunkers is they were ginormous. It was almost like you could fit like there's plenty of room for, I guess you could say, world leaders to come meet, based on the size of these bunkers. But I also think that with Denver International Airport, any connections that exist, they will play them out to the public because it's like hiding in plain sight.
Right.
So which is why they one of their big tourist things that they do at the airport is they have like a gremlin that's like automated that'll, if you walk by it, it'll go, hey, what are you doing? It'll literally like talk to people as they walk by, and it's an automated gremlin.
Huh. Right.
But yeah, they play on it.
Yeah, I saw like a video one time with this guy. I saw the video because like the YMH podcast was making fun of this. There was a guy talking about like all the paintings and stuff in the airport all have like dicks in them.
No, well,
Or,
and you listen.
Or phallic messaging. That's the guy.
There's a dick anywhere you look. Okay.
Exactly.
If you're looking for dicks, you'll find one. Okay.
Exactly. You can make anything into a dick if you look hard enough. But the thing about these paintings is exactly. The thing is, these paintings, what they depict, it's essentially the end of the world or the apocalypse, or like, you know, or for some people it's the second coming. But that's what these paintings depict. It starts with like happiness, joy, creation, and as the paintings progress, because there's like a series, I believe, of like 3 or 4 of them. The first one's very peaceful, very loving, very positive, and then it gets to the middle, and the middle is where you start to see little, more or less like 1984-esque kind of shit. But as the painting progresses, it's like I believe it's a series of 4. I could be wrong, but as the painting progresses, it essentially gets worse and worse and worse to the point where everyone's enslaved. It's like it depicts essentially like just the downfall of society.
No.
Yeah, I didn't pick any. I've only ever been in the Denver airport once.
That's in an airport before you get on a fucking plane.
Yeah. And I think
there's not enough annex in the world for me.
Here's the thing. I was in the Denver airport. I didn't notice that. All I knew was 2 things about the Denver airport. I have relieved myself in the bathroom at the Denver airport because I was hurting pretty bad, you know, after a vacation at the beach with the kids that would not leave me and my wife alone. Like I was like, I gotta take care of this. It's hurting. So
yeah, I sympathize.
Yeah. And then I was like racially assaulted in the Denver airport that same day. So by a dude wearing the most ratchet Gucci flip-flops I've ever seen in my life.
Another thing about the Denver International Airport that I have to admit, so outside the Denver International Airport is a giant blue Bronco, like a giant blue
eyes, right?
With red eyes. Yeah. Here's the crazy thing about it. When that thing was being constructed, that statue, the guy that made it, you know, he made everything anatomically correct. Well, the statue, right when he was finishing it, it fell on top of him and killed him.
Right, yeah.
And what I find kind of ironic, or maybe coincidental for that matter, there's a professional rugby team in Australia called the Brumbies. If you look at their logo, it is virtually an homage to that Bronco and that statue, because it has a horse on its hooves with a mountain backdrop, and it's blue.
Okay.
And I find that really, really odd. The fact that a rugby team, an Australian rugby team, would use for their main branding an actual like a horse, you know. And here's the thing: the Brumbies, they're in Canberra, which is like, I don't want to say it's beach town, but I also don't want to say it's country.
Right.
So the fact they would use a mountain range in their logo as well, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they do that? I find that really odd.
Well, Maryland, they have all those wild horses, and it is all it's like somewhere between like a beach town and a countryside too. In Chickatee.
Frightening me in the chat says I'm assuming he's referring to the horse, but he says Blucifer.
I like that.
Blucifer. I like that.
I've never heard that before, but it wouldn't surprise me.
So what do you think is going on at the Denver airport?
Having been all over that airport, mainly Terminal B, because I fly United, so I always fly out of Terminal B. I mean, they do have underground tramways. It's basically like a mini city there. You know, it's a huge airport. It really is. There's definitely some interesting artifacts they have on display. Some serious like Betty. They definitely have. So the fuck would they have this out here? It just doesn't make any sense to me, because it's not exactly something you'd want to see before traveling. Like, they have some Aztec or some Mayan looking artifacts, things that don't necessarily associate themselves to safe flight or safe travels.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound it. And so my first flight ever was to boot camp, and I sobbed the entire way to boot camp. And I've flown a lot, like especially from like Spain to other countries in Europe when I was stationed out there. And it's been, every time I get on a plane, I'm not going to lie, I am hammered before I get on the plane, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die wasted. And I'm never gonna fly into Denver.
Yeah, I'm pretty much wasted every time I fly. It's not so much because of nerves. It's just because I'm a degenerate alcoholic. And once I get through TSA, time does not exist.
It doesn't.
I don't trust anybody that's not drinking in an airport.
Yeah. No.
Once I get to the United, well, before I think I pretty much I'm done with drinking after the Super Bowl party. But but when I get to the United Lounge, I would take advantage of the free Bloody Marys they have for club members. So I will not complain about those.
Yeah, I used to do that with Delta, and then they changed their rules on what it takes to get into the Delta Sky Club, and it was like, fuck you guys. But yeah, so we got time for like one more urban legend. I know, Megan, didn't you research some? Were there any that came up as particularly interesting to you?
So I did look into Mothman a little bit, and if we're just because people have brought it up, but even I was like, that's a little crazy. And I also looked into the Chupacabra, which I thought was even crazier because both the Mothman and the Chupacabra had politicians actually get involved, and like they're both like semi-recent. So Chupacabra, everyone's like, oh, they associate it with Texas because of that doctor lady. I forget her name already. But actually the Chupacabra started in, which means goat sucker, which I'm like phrasing, but the Chupacabra actually started in Puerto Rico when a bunch of like chickens and I don't know. We're gonna go with Chupacabra, I guess. But the bunch of chickens and goats had puncture wounds on their neck and they were completely drained of blood, and all these citizens were like, what the fuck's eating our livestock, you know? And basically there were briefs going on and politicians and I guess whoever, I forget what he was called. I think he was like the mayor or like the president basically of Puerto Rico. He was running and he was like, I'm going to hunt this Chupacabra. And basically he hunted it until he was like out of time to hunt it. And I got to get to bed. Okay. Thank you. So thank you, David.
Hi, David.
So basically the Chupacabra thing was in Puerto Rico, and then it got to Texas, and there were sightings of the Chupacabra, and they found like this dog who looked emaciated and gray. And it sounds like, I don't know if anyone's ever seen an Irish wolfhound, but when I read the descriptions, it's like an Irish wolfhound with severe mange. And Irish wolfhounds are really tall, they're lanky, they're kind of gray. And that's what everyone was kind of seeing. And then in Texas, I think it was a doctor, she was basically like, yeah, this Chupacabra exists. There's a whole ass museum in Southern Texas. They still can't find the said Chupacabra, but they even sent like samples to Texas State University.
Your future alma mater, correct?
Yeah. To see like what the genetic makeup was. And they were like, well, we can't really tell. Like, there was like an uncertainty there. When I had the original, I did have notes for the original podcast that we were going to do, but basically the results were inconclusive. There were interviews done. This is in the early 2000s when all this happened. There's if you look it up, there's actually like a museum, like taxidermed type looking dog, and it looks like a gray coyote Staffordshire Terrier pit bull kind of mix thing. It's really weird, and it looks like I think it's a dog with mange that people are seeing. But I mean, for that to be the MO, puncture wounds on the neck, completely drain livestock of blood, and then leave the body, like, that's not dog behavior. So who knows? But politicians ran on it. They used it as a political issue in Puerto Rico. That's where it all started.
Huh. Do you guys think Rake or the Slender Man is real?
I don't know about Rake. Slender Man, again, one of the things, like, I don't know. I think I think there's probably like the actual like supernatural Slender Man. Maybe not so much. I think that's probably something that actual people have
Awesome.
copycatted, to do. But who knows?
The thing about the rake the thing with the rake that kind of gets me wondering is I wonder if it's paranormal in the sense of like, because you've heard of demonic possession, you've heard of like how demons can kind of can manifest into random things or just whatever's near them. I truly think that if rakes are real, it's a demon that's just taking on a physical form of some kind. I mean, everyone says, it's online fictitious, it's a creepypasta, but the thing is, I've seen a lot of videos of people claiming they encountered a rake, and it's always the sound, and the sound is the same. It sounds like I describe it like a lamb, like a rather aggro kind of lamb almost.
Okay.
But I really think that if rakes are real, it's just a demon taking some kind of a form.
What's a rake?
So I can pull up a picture on my phone just so you guys can see what the online community claims it is.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Right. There's also video of like these kids who are in the woods behind their house, and they're going in. They find like this cabin, like this abandoned cabin that's sitting on their parents' property, for that matter. Well, when they go inside this cabin, and bear in mind it's middle of nowhere, it's somewhere in the countryside, definitely somewhere in America. They open this thing up, and it's like you see like lumber everywhere, and like looks like a boat or a beat up boat, and then there's like this looks like a little mini office inside of it. And on top of this office, you see like this big ass, like white alien looking head pop up. And then you hear that same like that. And they start running, but it sounded almost like a rake. It looks so good. Maybe it was a really good fake. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it looked really, really convincing. Just the footage alone looked really convincing because you can tell these kids had like a portable handheld cam. And it looked, I mean, to me at least, it looked rather genuine, but also so genuine that it may be fake.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, for one, I'm surrounded by 100-year-old oak trees all around my house. So that picture of a rake is far less terrifying of a rake that I have to use all through the fucking fall to rake goddamn leaves every day. But it's been a really fun episode. It sounds like I have to like maybe keep going and deep diving into some of these things and do like maybe eventually if I set up a Patreon or something, just do like some like wild, multi-hour marathon where people call in and talk about their, rakes, and we can get C-Hapes in here to do a Squach calling, kind of thing.
He said that he would only do it if I did like if I made a donkey noise, and I'm not putting that on the internet. My titties, yes. Donkey noises, no.
Yeah, like you said, you have to draw a hard line somewhere.
Yes.
Nipples, great. Donkey noises, like, get out of here, pervert.
No, you want to hear disturbing noise? Freaking listen to the audio of Attack of Mr. Hands. That shit'll give you nightmares.
I've seen the video, and yeah.
Oh God,
it's rough.
No, that shit's disturbing. That shit was. I mean, do you remember like before when what's it called, when ISIS had just come out, where they had just been like kind of hit the global stage, and they decapitated that Korean prisoner they had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I honestly thought that Attack of Mr. Hands was more disturbing than that.
It's definitely a very jarring video. Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Get you shook.
Getting a 24-inch dick shoved up your ass. Yeah, that is a rather.
Oh, Megan must not know about the Mr. Hands video. It's,
you don't know about
essentially like what you thought the donkey lady story was going to be, but it's a horse and a guy, and the horse essentially like fucks a guy to death. So.
Like he survived the encounter,
thanks, Davey. But super dark note to end this one on. But
my holes hurt. Like all holes that I have hurt.
He survived. Here's the thing: he survived the session, but would later die of internal injuries.
Mm-hmm. He pretty much bled out internally.
Mm-hmm.
It was like his essentially like his like rectal tract was ripped away from the rest of his body. Anyways, enough of that nonsense. Davey, thanks for calling in.
No problem.
Megan, let everybody know where they can find you. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Well,
Where can everybody find you?
They can find me on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me. I'm Megan Bross on Facebook. And on Instagram, I'm Shut Up Meg.
That was a good one to get, by the way.
Thank you. It all started in boot camp, but Shut is spelled SHUT, obviously, but then Up is UUPP and then Meg.
Oh, gotcha. So when do you start school?
I start school in August.
Great. And I don't think you said, are you going to have to move, or are you fine being in Austin?
I am going to have to move, but not right away because my first semester, I only have 2 labs that I have to be there for in person.
Gotcha. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Go check her, go find her online, subscribe to her OnlyFans. I mean, she is trying to work her way through college now, so
yeah.
She's trying to become a doctor. Go help out the future Dr. Megan. So anyways, it was a fun show. I definitely got to do some more deep diving into some of the stuff because it gets pretty fun. And an hour goes by pretty quick.
Yeah, it did.
Again, everybody knows, like, subscribe on YouTube, rate, review on iTunes and Spotify. Also, I forgot to mention, I do have a sponsor, surprisingly. Maybe not after the Mr. Hands description, but actually, I think you'd be fine with it because he makes hats like this that say free hugs and butt plugs.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
So I'm sure you've probably seen all over the internet the hats that say "Show me that butthole." Yeah, so that's them. That's our sponsor, repcps.com. I've had Dave on the show before. Super nice guy. Really interesting story about how that all started. But guy makes an incredible living selling hats with like that kind of shit on them. So go to repcps.com, use promo code Nooner, get 10% off. You're supporting him. He's a great guy. You're supporting the show. So yeah, definitely go check them out. Goes a long way. But again, thanks for joining us, guys. Davey, thanks for calling in. C-Hape called in earlier. Thanks. Megan, thanks for your extensive research. And again, go find her online, support a working college student. So